All right, welcome back to 2 Minute Tuesdays. Hope everyone's had a great start to the week. Let's get straight into this week's question, which comes from Haley, who asks, what are my top 3 tips for body composition, fat loss, muscle gain, etc.? So let's put 2 minutes on the clock and let's keep this one nice and short and sweet. All right, so the most important and most underutilized factor when it comes to body composition goals is sleep. Most people do not get adequate rest and recovery to be able to maintain gains or accentuate, say, body compositional goals in terms of weight loss. Now, from a scientific standpoint, we know that those people who do not get enough sleep, so we're talking less than 1 hour, less than what they normally would need. So the average for most people is about 8 hours, but what most people are getting is 7 or below. We know that if you have an hour less sleep than what you're supposed to, you will basically consume about 300 calories more for that day to make up for the loss of energy, your loss of energy in yourself. So keep that in mind. The less sleep you get, the more calories you're going to consume the next day. Also, it's going to affect your recovery processes, as well as your ability to back up session to session, training session. All right, number 2. Increase your protein content. Most people just straight off the bat, whenever I do a diet or a food diary with a new client, they are 99% of times under eating on protein, and usually it's drastically under eating. Now, there are so many studies out there that benefit the pros of upping protein content, and then there are the ones that sort of hinder people by scaring them into thinking that consuming too much protein is bad for the liver. Now, let's get one thing straight. So liver and kidneys. Let's get one thing straight. We know scientifically that only a high protein diet will affect someone who already has a kidney pathology. So keep that in mind. Now, by upping protein, we're going to automatically decrease the amount of fat and carbohydrates we bring in, purely because you can only eat so much food. The other thing is protein is very satiating, keeps you full for longer, so you won't find that you're snacking between meals. All right, number 3, water. Most people mistake thirst for hunger. So when they need water, they just start eating instead. Now, 9 times out of 10, when you're dehydrated and you reach for food, you are still going to be hungry after you've consumed that food, where you're still going to feel hungry because you haven't consumed enough water to hydrate the body to utilize the food that you've just brought in. So many people are chronically dehydrated, and we know that the effects of chronic dehydration there are a myriad of factors that can really compound existing skeletal injuries, muscular injuries, as well as many diseases and pathologies. The first process of the disease process is a movement of water from inside the cell to outside the cell, generally caused by chronic dehydration. So consume a minimum, for most people, somewhere between 2 and 3 litres of water per day is a good starting point, and it will not only offset the fact that you probably feel hungry when you should be drinking more water, but it'll also just keep you healthy. And the best solution for pollution is dilution. All right, bonus tip number 4. Bonus tip, fiber. Fiber, again, is very satiating. And of course, if we go back to number 2, which is increasing your protein content, protein is also very acidic on the body. So we need something to help offset that or balance that. And that's what green veggies do. So green veggies are predominantly fiber. I don't incorporate them as part of a carbohydrate intake, purely because they are so low glycemic. So the fiber content and the alkalinity of those green veggies will help offset your increased protein intake. All right, so 2 Minute Tuesday is done and dusted. So those are my top 3 tips and the bonus tip for getting your body composition goals on track. They're the top tips because they're the first things that I usually will address with most people, because most people are usually lacking in sleep, lacking in protein, lacking in green veggies, and chronically dehydrated. So I hope this has helped. I hope you got a lot out of this, and we'll see you next week for 2 Minute Tuesdays. Thank you.